Congressman-elect George Santos from Queens, New York, is facing mounting pressure to step down following a New York Times investigation alleging that most of his resume is fabricated, including his supposed MBA from NYU, finance job at Goldman Sachs, various charities he claimed to have started, and even home addresses.
George Santos' attorney issued a statement saying, quote, George Santos represents the kind of progress that the left is so threatened by, a gay, Latino, first-generation American Republican who won a Biden district. And, quote, it's no surprise that he has enemies at the Times who are attempting to smear his name with defamatory allegations. Joining us now to weigh in on this is Senior Lecturer of African American Studies at University of Maryland and political analyst Jason Nichols. Welcome, Jason.
Thank you. Thank you, Brie and Robbie. Thank you for having me.
Now, Jason, that statement suggested that all of the things that are being reported on are, in fact, a lie. But it seems like there are way too many things here, inconsistencies, to say that they're all untrue. There's reporting that he lied about his parents having fled the Holocaust. That claim is contradicted by genealogy records. There is some ambiguity about, well, I shouldn't say that. I should say that it seems like he has been recently divorced from a woman, which, of course, doesn't mean that he is not gay, but does throw...
That was reporting from the Daily Beast just now.
Put some context around the generalized kind of identity claims here. A lot of Republicans were very enthusiastic about this candidate because he did seem to represent the kind of departure from the norm, someone who was both conservative and hit all these identity markers that liberals say that they care about so much. What do you make of all of this?
Well, I think, this is all kind of problematic, and it's becoming a pattern amongst Republicans. We see guys like J.R. Majewski with the stolen valor thing, lying about his military record. I didn't think that they could go any lower than Herschel Walker. You and I have talked about this on this show. And here's someone who is literally everything he's saying. He lied about things that he didn't need to lie about. Right. Now, in terms of that statement, one person that you haven't heard from is George Santos. If he were, at least with J.R. Majewski, he came out and said all these things are top secret, and, it turned out that that's probably not the case. But George Santos hasn't spoken up and said, hey, here's my evidence. Here's how I know this, why this is true. I think New York University and Baruch College, they have pretty good records. I know at the University of Maryland, we have pretty good records of who has degrees from the university. So I don't think that that's going to be a mistake. I think that that is pretty solid there. So this guy is obviously a troubled individual. The scary part for me is, how does he come up with $700,000 to loan his campaign when he's been evicted twice for not being able to pay his rent? So I think we need to follow the money here. There may be something even more sinister going on.
Well, Santos' Democratic opponent in this year's election, Robert Zimmerman, said his campaign knew about some of these discrepancies. Let's listen to that.
We spoke to many reporters on these issues and raised these concerns to the high heavens. And that's well established. In fact, the DCCC, Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee, put out an 87-page document about him, and local media, to their credit, did cover it.
It's a failure of both parties and of the media. And if you're a voter in this district, the truth is you don't really know who you just voted for.
And I think that is the issue. 87-page document on which these issues were way down the list. So what does it say about Democrats not running competent campaigns if they didn't front and center some of these allegations that the opponent didn't have a competent comms team who knows how to make this a national news story?
Yeah, I mean, Robbie, you're absolutely correct. This is a failure of Democrats to do the correct Oppo research and not find out all of these things, and also for them not to make it front and center and get to the right media. Okay, local media covered it, but go, if the New York Times isn't going to cover it, then you go to the Daily Beast. You go all over the place and make sure that you shout this out. You talk about this to your constituents. And I think that this is a failure. This should have been national news. We heard about J.R. Majewski all the time, about his stolen valor. That became national news. Here is a district that's right outside of New York City, which, again, kind of worries me because I'm wondering what's being missed in other parts of the country. But you have it in an area that where the media is literally centered, and they're not getting this information about this guy who's a total fraud. So I think that this is a failure, and I think the DCCC and I think Democrats in general have to sort of take this on the chin and say, you know, we shouldn't give the media an 87-page document to go through. We should make bullet points. How about a one-page document? You know what I mean? And send it to Bree and Robbie so that they can cover it.
Yeah.
Amen to that. I mean, look, I'm just reading some more of these points on about what you lied. We talked about the lying about the college. We talked about lying about Citigroup and Goldman Sachs. Apparently, he says he ran something called Friends of Pets United, a nonprofit that rescued 2,400 dogs and 280 cats. Very specific numbers, but the Times could find no record of that organization ever existing as a tax-exempt charity. Apparently, he even claimed in a WNYC public radio interview that 4 of his employees died in the Pulse nightclub shooting in Orlando, Florida, but the Times could find nothing linking any of the victims to companies or firms associated with Santos. I mean, the lying about his parents and his grandparents in the Holocaust, I mean, these are serious lies. These aren't casual. I mean, you know, I'm 6'1", but really I'm 5'11" kind of lies. No, these are not little white lies. Are there going to be any consequences for this electorally? You know, do you think that there are going to be any moves to get him out of office, or are people just stuck with him for the next 2 years?
I think it looks like they're going to be stuck with him, honestly. I don't know if you can recall a congressman, but, you know, so I think we're probably going to be stuck with this person. And then the sad part is that I think that you're going to see other people kind of follow this playbook. Like, if you could just kind of stay under the radar enough with your lies and boost your resume, maybe you can win. And that's a really sad. I think one of the things we've been seeing for these past couple of years is a lot of the holes in our system and a lot of the holes in our electoral system that can get people who are unqualified elected. And it's a really, really troubling thing. I think the pet thing is one thing. The fake charities, we've seen that before at the highest levels with people with fake charities. But the Pulse nightclub thing was just despicable. I mean, that's just disgusting for him to, you know, claim the pain of those people who died in that mass shooting. I hope that the voters in that district really take that into account, and with you know, trusting the Republican Party moving forward in that district. I mean, this is terrible. With that, when I read the Pulse nightclub thing, that was different.
Yeah, I mean, look, we have, you know, seen efforts to get disgraced politicians to resign. I think that's the effort here, to see if he would voluntarily step down.
They just don't do that
But
anymore.
They don't do it. We've been talking about it with respect to these disgraced California City Council members who were caught on tape saying all of those racist things. And there have been big calls for them to resign from very high echelons of the Democratic Party. And so far, they're not budging. I don't necessarily expect to see anything different in this case, but we appreciate you joining us to discuss it today, Jason.
Thank you. Thanks, Robbie. Thanks, Bree.
All right, we'll have more Rising for you right after this.